All right, good morning. We are in Mark 6:45 through 52. Today we're going to be reading about Jesus walking on water. Or the cat walking in front of the camera, one of the two. So, what were your thoughts on today's passage?
Well, actually, my thoughts have been back to the last time we were here, and the 12 baskets, and thinking about that provision and how that was provided. And I had another thought. It struck me, okay, where in the middle of all of this did they get 12 baskets? But then I thought, okay, but they probably would have rope with them. And they're fishermen. They know how to make nets and fix their nets. So they most likely, all a basket is a net that's bowl-shaped. So they most likely were able to create their own baskets. Which has nothing to do with walking on water, but answers the question in my head, where did they get 12 baskets? Because I know I don't walk around with baskets every day. But with the water, the part that struck me was, when thinking back to what's happened before, they were going up to the mountain because the disciples were exhausted, and they still haven't had a chance to rest. So now Jesus is again taking care of them first. He sends them on their way while he deals with all of this huge crowd of people and getting rid of them. And then after the disciples are on their way and the crowd is dismissed, then he's finally alone and he can have his prayer time. So he's first taking care of the people that are in his custody, so to speak. He takes care of them first, and then he takes care of himself and his own need, which he could not take care of that need for prayer with his Father until everybody else was moved away, because they're not leaving him alone. So, but that is, it makes a point to talk about how he has that private time alone in prayer. That was what struck me the most. What was striking you?
The last sentence, and he got into the boat with them. So here he was going to do a flyby past them. He was just going to walk out across the water and let them see him. In the footnotes, it talks about how Moses was passed by, and Moses was hidden in the rock, and God's glory went past, and it was like so immensely, So here Jesus is going to do a flyby by the boat, and they're struggling. They're out there and they're calling out, and they're like, this is a ghost. And then he's saying, "Do not be afraid." And he gets in the boat with them, and everything ceases. And the last phrase, they did not understand about the loaves. They were utterly astounded, for they did not understand about the loaves, but their hearts were hardened. And that phrase and the way it was written just kind of struck me, and I had to reread and go through the notes again, because here they've watched 5,000 people being fed from some bread and fish, and they had plenty, and here they're seeing the Jesus walking on water, and they're like, I still don't get this guy, That's kind of their mentality. And
but also just from a learning standpoint, they had very little to hang stuff on. But we talk about creating hooks whenever kids are learning new things, and so you have to find if there are any pre-existing hooks that you can hang new information on. For this, all they've got is the Old Testament, and they're experiencing all of this firsthand. They are having to create hooks and try to like wrap their head around information that they've not had before.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm not sure I would do any better if all of a sudden some person is like doing impossible things. I'm not sure I would think, oh, this is God doing this. I think I would probably go, what the heck? How did he do that? What, this is just blowing my mind, and I don't understand.
So it's interesting. I'm picturing them seeing and understanding the sea being parted, and here they're on the sea and they're having a rough time of it, and here Jesus goes, I like the phrase, water skiing without a boat. So.
But whenever they're so afraid, he alters his plan, and he still meets the needs of the people right there.
Mm-hmm.
He could have just kept right on trucking and said, I'll meet you on the other side, and I don't want to deal with you idiots anymore. But he doesn't. He has compassion whenever, because his goal is never to instill fear.
Mm.
And that's like a reoccurring theme. We are to fear God.
Mm-hmm.
In terms of reverence. We're supposed to have this healthy dose of reverence because you are in control. But it's never God's goal to make us afraid of him. We have nothing to fear from him. We have to fear from ourselves and what we're doing.
We don't fear. He doesn't cause us to fear to make us act a certain way.
Right.
Way instead.
Right. And I think that phrase, to fear and to love God, is really distorted by a lot of people in their mind, because perfect love has no fear. And so trying to justify those two words and the multiple meanings of the word fear, it's apparent that Jesus doesn't want them to be afraid, even though he knows that they don't understand what's going on, and he has to be getting pretty frustrated because he's shown them time and time again what he can do and who he is, and they're just not getting it. I think as a human, I would kind of be like, yeah, you just sit in this for a while. Mm-hmm. But he's not like that. His goal is not fear. And just like whenever the angels show up, the first thing they generally say is, do not be afraid.
Yeah.
Fear not, for God is with you. Mm-hmm. It's in that whole addressing that fear and taking the fear away is really something big for me.
Mm-hmm. So those are our thoughts for today. Read through Jesus walking on water, 6:53 through
43.
Oh, 43 through 52. I'm skipping ahead. Tomorrow we're going to heal the sick in
Gennesaret.
We'll get the pronunciation down before then.
I have my emphasis on the wrong syllable.
So, catch us tomorrow. Thanks.